Experience tranquility. Pass into the iris.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Iris Podcast. I am your host, Mr. Yeti, joined tonight by Nagisa and Navino. How are you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Are you excited? Go on, Navino. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. There should be a lot of that.
It's okay. I know. I'm not hated. I'm hated. I'll just leave now. Goodbye.
We're just making it. He's just making it quick. He's just making it quick tonight. That's appreciated.
Yeah, you know.
The end of the podcast.
That's it. We're done.
Marsupial org is in shambles, everybody. Anyways.
Yeah, all the marsupial teams are banned, by the way.
It's true. It's true.
You know.
Yes, we banned them all. It's hilarious. Well, thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. We are going to be talking about all the tiers in the championship bracket. We'll be talking about some predictions. We have the fantasy draft a little bit later, and then I got a little tease for season 9. I know some of you guys are kind of digging around for season 9 information. I got something. I got a little something. I'm just gonna throw your way here tonight, and you can have fun with it. So, that being said, let's hop right into our first segment, guys. We are into the championship bracket now. We have 6 teams left in the NA tiers and only 3 left in the EU side. Everybody came in. They got reseeded out officially by Cavalier when the new brackets were posted. But you know what? Those seeds are boring. They're just based on math, and nobody likes math, especially not Overwatch players. We hate math. Just, seriously. We try to justify a SR. That tells you enough. Anyways, moving on to our re-rank here. We're going to be re-ranking it based on just our feelings, what we think is actually the number 1 team left, what is actually the lowest team left, those kind of things. So we're going to start at the bottom of the Harmony EU tier, and we're going to start off basically, I had these guys rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for each tier, and I'm going to ask them what they ranked third, and we'll go around the horn, and we'll do it. We'll do it for all the tiers. So we're starting the EU Harmony tier. Nagi, what you have as your third seeded team out of the group?
So I have EU Scrimbucks as third. I mean, I just think that currently the other 2 teams are a little better, so I have them at third.
Navino, what was your third seeded team?
My third seeded team was actually the Venice Vipers. There's a bit of recency bias in that, and as well as some momentum stuff. I don't think Venice is bad. I just think 2 and 3 are pretty close.
Sure.
And honestly, I think as I explain the rest of my rankings, why Venice is third will make sense.
That's perfectly fair. I personally said Scrimbucks as well. I feel like Scrimbucks is a very good team, and it was really close for me. But I think Scrimbucks I think the quality of play right now we're seeing from both Venice and particularly Feeders United as well. I feel like I have to give them just a little bit of credit for working their way through the upper bracket as hard as they did against some really high quality competition. So I gotta go EU Scrimbucks in third right now, but it's a close third. Who was your number 2 team, Nagi?
I have Feeders United as a second here, which is interesting. It feels like it's not opposite of what Navina's doing, but it's kind of close. But
all right, Navino, what about you?
My second seeded team is actually EU Scrimbucks. I think the way they've responded since the whole drama, as well as just how dominant they've been in the lower bracket,
sure,
speaks a lot. And let's take this. Thunderbolt Rewind kind of destroyed Apollo. Let's be real.
Yes.
And then EU Scrimbucks, after watching that game, just kind of destroyed Thunderbolt Rewind. So from my perspective, it's they have all this momentum going in this bracket.
Mm-hmm.
They know what it takes to be a top team. I think that they'll put it together. It's really what it comes down to.
They got a big match this week against Venice Vipers. Speaking of Venice Vipers, I had them as my number 2. Taking a look at Venice right now, I think it's less of a shot on, or less of me talking about Venice as much as I feel it is talking about my number 1 team. Nagi, your number 1 team, obviously that leaves for you.
Venice Vipers. Yeah, it's kind of hard. It was kind of hard for me to just kind of speak on, the other team until I got to the top team. But yeah, I just feel like Venice Vipers kind of has that momentum right now. And I feel like EU Scrimbucks, obviously they're they're really good, and they climbed up from where they were after the whole thing, and so they're really good, no doubt. I just kind of feel like Venice Vipers has what it takes to kind of just speed through, kind of get to the top. So that's why they're one for me.
Understood. Navino, you ended up picking obviously your leftover here, same as mine.
Yeah, me and you both picked Feeders United. Like they didn't. The only blemish on their record going in like against Venice was the 7-7 draw in Hanamura.
Right.
I think you can't ignore the fact that it was 3-0, and it looks like a rather like convincing 3-0. Like there are close moments, but I think Feeders United is the one that's finishing, while Venice does not. And since we haven't had a chance to see EU Scrimbucks versus either of these teams, all I can really do is look at likewise opponents. And Venice versus Apollo was much closer than, transitive property, math stuff.
Bringing math again, Overwatch players and math. Yeah, I think Feeders are the team to beat right now. I think they're just playing better. That's just kind of my feeling. Overall, their team's looking better from really top to bottom. I think I've been really impressed, particularly with their DPS play. Zumi is playing really well, so they're just kind of been a fun team to watch right now. Let's move it on over to the Harmony tier in the NA side now. NA side, we're actually going to start at the top this time as opposed to the bottom because it seems like it's easier to talk top down, I think. And we'll start with the number one team. Nagi, who'd you pick as your number one?
I have Galactic Penguins as number one, which I don't watch like a ton of Harmony lately as much as I did mid-season, but I've liked Galactic Penguins from the beginning, and I think that they have gained a lot of momentum since mid-season. So that's my reason for putting them at number one. I think that they have a lot of potential over the other teams, but a lot of the other teams, like top three, are pretty close. So,
no, that's a great. I can understand that take. Navino, however, you and I, strangely enough, agreed again.
Yes, we both have Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies number one. I think just the body of work. Like I had a lot of questions about them stage one. If you guys remember, like earlier in the early season podcast when I talked about that group as a whole, and if you from that group, they were lost out between like the three top teams of that group, and now they've really turned it around with a nice win versus Galactic. They've just looked clean, and I think they are the team to beat right now.
I agree. I think Fire Breathing has been just dominant lately. I think they are playing at a higher tier than everybody else right now. I personally am very much looking forward to some of the possible finals that we're seeing with Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies in it. There's some fantastic looking matchups pretty much up and down there. But Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies versus Koala Kings could be a very, very good final. Let's transition over to number two teams now. And Nagi, who's your number two?
I have Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies at second, and that's one of the ones that was a very close like first second for me, because I was very close at putting Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies as one as well, just because of how good they've gotten. They've really, they were good all season, but they've gotten especially good this past few weeks. So, Galactic Penguins, Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies for me is like right there.
Navino, again, you and I strangely agree on something. About
a marsupial team, no less.
About a marsupial team. I still can't believe that. That's the crazy. Well, hold on. I should rephrase. I can believe that you ranked them second, but me ranking them second? Now that's something.
It's really hard these days for me. And there's a meme of there's probably a meme somewhere of like Navino's so biased, and and it's fair. It's hard for me to root against my own teams or be that honest like that. But if you just to look at it from a body of work, the only game they lost is Luminous, the entire season, and they were rather a dominant 3-0 versus Chrysalis and a pretty convincing 3-1 versus Frost Nova. You went back and watched those codes, I think they're prepared to go into champ bracket, and I say that as someone that actually hasn't been able to go to the last few scrims because Joey's getting ready as well.
For me, when I look at Koala Kings, it's a whole season's body of work. They've lost one game in a very, very, very close game. Like if I look at an entire season's body of work, yeah, they lost one game to Luminous Foxes in a 3-2. You know, I get it. I get it, Bernie. I know you want us to talk about Luminous. Don't worry, we get to there. They're just down near the bottom, okay? Let's talk about your 3 team here. Nagi, start off with you.
Okay, so this seems a little bit, from what I was seeing, a hot take maybe, but I've been a Strix fan since the beginning of this season, and I feel like they're, I'm talking a lot about teams gaining momentum, but I feel like they're one of those teams as well. I think they've been doing better, and they were really good at the beginning of the season. I know they had some like easier games and stuff, but I think they're a strong team. So I put them at 3rd, and maybe it's just a little bit of like fan bias, but
No, that's fair. That's fair. 3 team again. Navino, stop copying my stuff because this is going to be a trend, unfortunately, for all of Harmony. It seems. We both ended up going with Galactic Penguins, but I'm going to talk first this time. I just think Galactic has gotten better because if you look at obviously the improvement of Chobi. Chobi went from probably at the beginning of the season being a DPS liability. We'll just go ahead and say it. Just be honest. No offense, Chobi. You were a bit of a liability compared to what else you had, but you've turned. It's obvious the turnaround has been incredible this season. You've definitely more than holding your own now. That's easy to say. For me, it's just there's a lot of synergy and chemistry with Galactic Penguins. They've been playing together all season really well in high-profile matchups. They've done well in a lot of those high-profile matchups. I would like to see. I do have strong feelings about them getting to the next round. I think they have a really high probability of getting to the next round here. But I will say that their road to the finals is exceptionally tough. If they, I feel like their road to the finals is very tough. You have a Luminous squad, you have a Fire Breathing Rubber Ducky squad, and then you're probably looking at a very tough finals no matter who you get. I mean, I think if I were them, I would much rather be like swapped with Koala Kings. I feel like that was a little bit easier than what they'll be facing this season. But in the end, you got to beat everybody to take home a chip. So, Navino, any additional thoughts on Galactic Penguins?
Honestly, the only thing I'll say is a big concern I had early season was mental. Was like their mental fortitude. Like if you guys remember watching the POV stream of when they lost to Jersey Boys in Map 5, I really thought that was going to be their downfall. Like you see all time again, these teams that have like boom or bust mentals just lose out.
Right.
And GP have really regrouped and I think stabilized as a result. And I think that translates a lot to their success.
Let's get to number 4 seeds, or as we pick them here. Nagi, who'd you pick number 4?
So I have Koala Kings here. They kind of just fall here because of my other picks. I didn't really, I don't really see them. How do I explain it? It's like I don't feel like they're 4. I didn't go like Koala Kings is 4th before I even got here. They kind of just were there because of my other picks. So, I mean, I think that, Koala Kings is a good team, no doubt, and I feel that they'll, they could easily be my 3rd or my 2nd too, is just based on where I put other teams right now is kind of why they're 4th. So I don't have a really good reason for why they're 4th. It's just, placing.
Navino, what do you think here for your 4th place team?
As you and I agree again, it seems.
We
both have doodles. I think a big thing for us is they're rather boom or bust. Sometimes they look great, but I still I get so confused sometimes because they also I want to say they have a style, but then they don't, and then they do. And they're just such a hard team to read. And but we've also seen that they can really turn it on, as evident by their just stomping of Luminous, in the feature match last week.
Right.
But what doodles do we get? Also the doodles that gave up a 6K to Frost Nova, running just double shield into the ball comp, right? I gotta say this now. I think this is the closest champ bracket I've been a part of.
Yes.
Or even seen.
Yes.
Top 4 wise, even when it was single Elam back in season 6, I do not feel like the top 4 was as close as these 6 teams right here.
No way.
Yeah. Actually, I will say excluding one team, and I'll get to that in my ranking.
I think legitimately there's a case for all 6 teams. I think all 6 teams have a legitimate case for it. But I mean, people say like it's because flashbacks are gone, but there was really only been one season where flashbacks has been the crazy dominant team. You know,
well, 2 of you,
but like
almost
you know, people can complain. It's funny because people can complain about flashbacks, but just beat them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what it boils down to. Like, in the end, you just got to win the games. Like, you know, like that's what it boils down to. You know,
yeah,
win the games. Like, it's all that matters. So, yeah. But anyways, moving on here. I also was on board with Doodles. Doodles are the ultimate mental fortitude test. If they break you, you will just lose. If they break you, you just lose, and you lose badly. Their team is so good at making individual plays that if they crack you, they will break you over their knee, and it is pretty much the best way to put it about that team. Every time I see that team, like when they get a hold of something, and you can tell when a team gets disorganized, they are so good at capitalizing on it. And it seems to be a trend, and that's just kind of the Doodles way. If they get in your head, you do lose, and there's no question about it. Number 5 team, let's go.
We all agree.
Yeah, we all agree on this one. Nagi, why don't you take it?
Okay, yeah, so Luminous Foxes, I have 5th. We all have for 5th. You know, they've been consistently kind of like, okay, you know, for the season. I mean, they're in the top 6 for a reason, but I just don't really know if they have what it takes for these like top teams, you know, like fire breathing rubber duckies and galactic penguins and stuff, you know. So I mean, I put them 5th there because, you know, I don't know.
I put them personally 5th with an asterisk in my head, just because it's just like, for some reason, I don't know what happened to Luminous against Doodles on stream. It's just like I don't know if they just didn't mentally show up for the match or what. But, like, if they took that match, I think there's, like... Okay, if you're just going to keep being rude, you can just shut you down for the day. Anyways, moving on. Apologies for that. Navino, if you... I don't know if you agree with me on this, but, like, it's when you get people who are... Sorry, that got me off my game there a little bit. When you get people, like, when you look at Luminous, I feel like if they take that match, like a lot of us expected them to, I'd probably put them in my top 3 pretty comfortably. But the fact that they didn't just get beat, they got beat bad. It just hurt a lot.
Yeah, I also like, and this goes back to like the mental fortitude game, like that I talked about with GP, where I felt like Luminous lost, and like, you know, with GP, like I can talk about how like they've overcome that. They've done that over the course of the stage. Luminous, this issue is right here, right now, and it is at the worst time.
Right.
That I like, again, like these top 5 to me are all super close and really interchangeable depending on the day. So like I hated ranking Harmony because it was just like, literally, I talked about matchups earlier. Like literally, matchups are so key here. So key. And yeah, I have nothing really to add to that.
Yeah. And here I'm going to go ahead and just say it again because I've already had to take care of rude people complaining in the chat. If you don't like our rankings, I'm sorry. Like, we're not trying to be mean about it. We're just trying to give our best analysis. You don't need to be rude and call the cast clueless here. So that's uncalled for. And yeah, just it kind of speaks to character if that's the way you're going to act. I'm just saying. Anyways, let's go to the number 6 team here. Number 6 team for all of us here. We differed just a little bit here, Nagi. Who do you got?
Yeah, so I have Doodles here on 6th. I think that, you know, they have this, like you guys were touching on with your rankings, it kind of had this like interesting play style that can like either work or not work, you know, and you know, it works well for like the lower teams to the mid teams and even some of these like teams that we have, like 5 and 6 here, but I don't think that it will work as well against the top 3 teams, because I feel like those top 3 teams can adapt and are top 3 for a reason. So I put them 6 just because I kind of like, I don't know if their kind of wacky style, solo kill is going to work so well.
All right. Navino, you and I had the same take on this one.
Yeah, I have Strix. I'll be real. I frankly think that the game versus Big Bang was more of a Big Bang kind of choking, if I'm being real, than a Strix improving, because I think they're noticeably worse without Matt. And I don't know where Matt has been the last few weeks, but I think they're noticeably worse. Matt is their off tank. I think Strix has pop-up potential. PvB is very good. Doha is very good. Or Phantom Doha, whatever. Very good. Mimp, very good. Like, individuals are very good. I just feel like they struggle to put it together. Like, when you watch POV VODs of their games, they feel panicked. They feel stressed out. They feel anxious. They don't feel put together. They feel like, I don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't entirely agree with your analysis on Matt personally. I think Matt's good. I think I do, but I will say that I think Strix is my 6th seed, but with, again, kind of like an asterisk, because I feel like they're playing their best Overwatch they have played all season right now. I think they look better than they have all season right now. That being said, I don't know that that's good enough against the competition they have left to face. That's the problem, is I feel like they are right where they belong, in the top 6, but I'd put them 6th. And that's where I leave them right there, because I think across the board they're a good team, a very good team. Do I think they are capable of beating a top 4 team right now? I just don't know. It's going to be tough. So we'll see what ends up happening. I personally could see it go on. I don't know. I could see any of the top 6 taking this thing. Harmony is so ridiculous this season. Let's go to Discord now, guys. Discord tier starting at the top. Nagi, who'd you have?
I have Cosmic Castaways. I feel like, I don't know, there's not a ton to say on that. They're just really good, I feel like they have been consistently like right there at the top like all season, so they're just really good as a team and individually.
Mm-hmm.
Except Vix, of course.
Yes, I agreed with Nagi, by the way, about Cosmic. I think Cosmic is just, there's not much to be said. I think alone their support line is just insane, and like is probably would be one of the best support lines in Transcendence tier. I mean, just saying. Navino, go ahead, tell us why Joey Esports is number 1.
Like, asking me as someone that's playing to drink myself not number 1 is just, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what separated Cosmic and Joey with the seeding. Like, did you guys do map differential? I never asked. Was it map differential?
It's map diff in the playoffs. Map diff in the playoffs.
Yeah, and there's probably like one map separating us.
Yeah, it's like 2.
Joey's dropped 1 map and Cosmic's dropped 0.
Yep, or it's 1 map. Yeah, you're right.
So, we dropped 1. Cosmic had dropped 0. I was actually really interested to see what happened if we had both 3-0.
It would go to regular season then, and I believe,
and then they would have beaten us by 2 maps.
They would have beaten you by 2 maps. Yep.
Yeah, and so like both teams really neck and neck. I put him here because obviously it's my team. I play on it. We have QZY, unfortunately. We have Swifters. We're pretty cool. We just like to run it down main, Litzer, and we have Cryptic Joseph Force. I got really nothing outside of that. No one's really come close to beating us. So,
Nagi, you and I had the same number 2 team, and it's just the team that we just talked about way too much so far.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. No. And he wonders why we meme about it. I'm just saying.
Cryptic is great, though.
Cryptic is great. Cryptic is just the most lovely individual, I swear.
Cryptic is Joey Esports.
Making me play main tank almost the entire Renegades game because he's sick. Shake my head, man. Making me play Orion Y'all need to see a replay code of me playing Ryan and Rialto. It's inspirational. Inspirational.
What's wild to me is Cryptic might be like the 4th best player on that team, and I still just love that team immensely this season. So, but Cryptic is still number 1 in my heart. So that's what I'm saying there. Navino, your number 2 team
is Cosmic. I mean, to me, it's like it's really a 1A, 1B type thing. Like I don't really know who's gonna win until we actually play each other,
which could be the finals. It could be the finals this season. Would be a great final.
We hope. You know, and I say that like. I think this is one of the few times where like we've never truly seen 2 of the teams that met in finals ever play each other before. Because like if I think last season, pretty much any team that was good in finals had played against someone, the other potential teams in final that were been there at least once. Cosmic and Joey have somehow avoided each other the entire season. You know, the scripts are written. You know, and that will be fun. And so, but we just don't know how close they actually are.
Right. Number 3 teams for both of us here differed. For all 3 of us here differed a little bit. Nagi, you and I had the same pick here. You want to go ahead with yours?
Yeah. So it's Quokka Queens. I mean, they're really good. You know, they're not Cosmic or Joey Sports right now.
Right.
But I feel like they could definitely be if they, you know, work on it. They just, you know, maybe whatever week seems to happen suddenly, you know, maybe they could be second, you know, but they're definitely a solid 3 right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're the 3rd best team right now. I think they're kind of been in that same area where there's been like 4 or 5 teams just kind of at the top, and they've all kind of been clustering in that same like 3, 4, 5. I feel like they've been interchangeable, and I feel like they still kind of are interchangeable right now. So, but I think 3 is where they're at as of today. Navino, your 3rd team a little different.
Yeah, you know, shockingly enough, I didn't name my own Orange team next. You know,
stunning, showing immense restraint.
I actually have Renegades at 3rd. I think they've improved a lot since like. I think it's really demoralizing to kind of like get 4-0'd by a team and then play them again, but then you actually like take a map off and you play them close on like several of the maps. You know, like unlike the first time we played them, Renegades actually adapted. That's why I have them 3rd. Renegades started to adapt mid-game and game plan for the teams that they're playing, which is I felt like something they didn't do before.
Right.
And I think they can make some noise. Do I think Renegades are like a hard 3rd? No. But I also have recency bias because I just played them.
Right.
But I'll put them at 3rd right
now. Let's see here. So we are on the 4th seed now. So yeah, 4th seed. Nagi, you and I agreed again on this one. We both went with Steel Team Spuds.
Yep. Did you want to
sure.
start off or?
I think 4th is about where they belong right now. I think they've won every game relatively convincingly against teams that are below that level, and then above that level they've gotten beat. So
yeah,
that's basically the simplest way to put it. They lost to Cosmic, they lost to Joey. They beat everybody else underneath that. They now have a match against Quokka, so I guess that'll kind of determine that. But I guess for Spuds, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, they probably belong right in that spot because they beat everybody else. They just haven't beat the top 2 teams yet. So, but I don't know if you have anything to add on to that.
No, I mean, I pretty much agree. I feel like, you know, I think they're a fairly adaptable team that could, you know, just maybe they will take it from Quokka, but we don't know yet. So that's just, I totally agree with your analysis on it.
Right.
It being 1st to 4 too is just a whole different thing too.
No, I would agree with that as well. Taking a look at the overall seeding here for you, you went a different route with your number 4 team. Where'd you go?
Yeah, my number 4 team is Quokka. Shocking, I know. I say I put them number 4 because since they lost to Renegades, like I feel like they've changed some stuff up. And if you look at after they lost to us, I don't like they kind of just steamrolled lower bracket. Like I don't think they dropped the map versus they didn't drop Masters Rampaging, and I don't remember who they played right before that. But and they won those things convincingly. So I think they're finally hitting all cylinders, and I think Steel Team Spuds for Quokka Queens is like a real awesome matchup, honestly.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Let's get to your 5th seed, and Nagi, why don't we start off with you?
Okay, I picked Oath. I like Oath. I feel like everybody likes Oath at this point. And it's kind of like it's like 5th based on my 6th, you know. I feel like so far they've, trying to figure out how to word this. They haven't really beat any of the top teams yet, but I feel like with their comeback, I feel like that they have the potential and kind of like the drive to do so. So that's kind of why I put them at 5th, because I believe in them.
Navino, again, we kind of had all over the board on this one with our 5th team. You go ahead.
I have Spuds. Mostly kind of a process elimination thing where, like, the real outlier between all of us is that I just rate Renegades much higher. That's the real outlier here. And so everyone else, and like, if you looked at our sheet, like, it's literally like I rate Renegades so much higher, so everyone else, like, that we agree upon just kind of slides one spot. And that's really it. I agree with Yeti, but I also think that they, like, I don't know. It's hard to rate because I truly do think that the Cosmic Spud side of the bracket, that Armor Indigo, I don't remember. That was just so much easier than the other side. Like, I rate Renegade, Space Created, Joey QQ above, like, most of the teams, like, outside of Spuds and CC on that side. And so, to me, it was like, who had the harder path, which will lead into my 6th team, if you want to just transition straight into that.
Sure. Well, I still haven't done my 5th.
Oh, wait, yeah, my bad.
I went with Renegades 5th. Renegades for me. I compared them again to that top 4. They beat Quokka.
Yeah.
So, to Renegades' credit, they did beat Quokka. But I feel like, again, it's that 3, 4, 5 range that I've talked about already. They're all kind of in that same level, in my opinion. Nagi, for your 6th seed, though, carrying on transitioning for my team.
Yeah, I picked Renegades. It's a good point that they beat Quokka Queens, but I don't know. They were kind of like, I think they were the last team that I wrote down on my ranking, so they kind of just they kind of fall there because I feel like the other teams are better, minus Oath. I feel like Oath is like a team that could be or couldn't be, and it's kind of like a we'll see kind of thing to me. But yeah, I think 5 and 6 for me could go either way.
6 for both of us were the same here, Navino.
Yeah, we both had Oath. I'll be honest, like, I think Oath is a great thing. I think they're cool people, and I would love for the Cinderella story to continue. I do not see it happening.
Sure.
Renegades have played top teams. So has Quokka, so is Spuds, so is Cosmic, so is Joe. Like, literally, Oath is the only non-A group team in this champ bracket. And I thought this about if it was Orient Fleet Redacted or Oath, whoever came out of that was going to be the worst team in the champ bracket. Because I didn't think Redacted, like, outside their win against Valkyrie, they, like, what do they have? What victories do they have? They played arguably the weakest stage 1 group, and then kind of got steamrolled by CC and Spuds.
Yeah, I feel like with Oath, I think I put him as my 6th, but it's like, I feel like it's just process elimination. Who would you rank below them right now? You can't really rank any of them below them reasonably, I don't think. Go to Transcendence tier. Number 1s, who do you have, Nagi?
Epizeuxis. Seems like we all agree on that. I mean, they're just the top team right now for a reason. I feel like, they haven't shown much of a weakness so far. I can't remember. They had a match against Devil Dukes. Was it a second time? Yeah, yep. About 5. Yeah, so that was kind of like the closest thing they've had so far, other than just pretty much steamrolling everybody else. So, they're definitely first.
Yeah, and I think we all agreed. And I think does anything else really need to be said about Epi this right now? They're the best team in the tier.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think they have the clearest separation of any team from the rest of the tier. So that's where I'm at. Number 2, we all had different opinions on this. Nagi, why don't you start us off?
I think Nagi and I agree.
Let me find. Oh yeah, here I am. Yeah,
no,
Devil
you did
Dukes.
What?
Oh no, you did. You're right. I'm dumb.
I was like,
Oh, yeah, no, I
Shut up.
changed it.
Shut up,
Well, you weren't
Navino.
looking, Navino. Yeah, no, I have Devil Dukes at second because, close against Epi. I feel like that kind of, to me, solidifies second because it was a close matchup. So, yeah, I mean, they're just really good as well.
I think, given the entire season, anyone outside of DD and Epi in top 2 is kind of interesting. So now Yeti, you can go.
Yeah, shut up. I went with Decapitators, nerd. Basically because Devil Duke's stinky. That's my personal opinion.
Fair.
But yeah. Number 3 seeds. Let's start. Nagi, who do you got?
Yeah, I have decaps at 3. I don't, it's hard for me to rank decaps because, I don't like ranking them not 1, but I don't feel like right now we can be, Epi and Devil Dukes have just proved themselves to be so strong. So, I think decaps are strong, but we've had some ups and downs that really kind of just solidifies us in 3 right now. So yeah.
Navino, your 3rd rated team.
My 3rd rated is Battalion, and I think given how they've looked in playoffs and the reverse sweep of decaps, I do think my 3rd and 4th are really close. I think if decaps and Battalion play 10 times, it probably splits the difference at this point. Maybe 60-40 in favor of one or the other, but given the results, I find it difficult not to rate Battalion as 3rd.
For me, my 3rd team, I went with I ended up going with Insidious. This is a bit of a hot take, I feel like. Perhaps, is it just my complete and ridiculous love of Stinky? Probably. Just gonna openly admit that. But Insidious has looked really good this playoff so far. Coming up big in some clutch spots pretty much all throughout. Really, the only the one loss against Decapitators 3-1 earlier in the playoffs. I've been impressed with Insidious. I think there's a real chance that they can take something off of Devil Dukes this week here, but we'll have to see what happens. Nagi, your 4th seed.
I have Battalion at 4th. So for me, Decaps just played Battalion, and the score that happened, I feel like we kind of just slipped up. Now, I think Battalion is really good. I think they've gotten even better than the beginning of the season. But I think that the reason why I put them at 4th and not 3rd with the whole decaps Battalion thing is just because I feel that our weaknesses got exposed and we didn't adapt as quickly as they did, and I think that if we did it again, it probably wouldn't happen again. But Battalion is still a great team, so I still put them 4th, and they could easily be 3rd too. So
Navino, what did you end up going with?
Oh, for my 4th? Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I put decaps at 4th. As I said, I think my 3rd and 4th are really interchangeable. And I kind of hinted at it when I talked about Battalion. Right? If they play 10 times, I really struggle to see who comes out of 10, if they play each other 10 times. So, yeah, that's really it. I think they did well. I do think they're a bit, they did get a bit exposed. They struggled to adapt a bit, which is kind of why I put Battalion, because Battalion changed their entire game plan the second half of the game and did well. So, yeah.
I personally, for my 4th seed, I went with Battalion. Again, Decaps Battalion, I feel like are interchangeable right now. I feel like, honestly, the top, outside of Epi, I feel like the top 3 are all interchangeable, maybe top 4. I think Epi's just that far ahead of everybody else right now. Nagi, your 5th seed.
So I have Insidious as 5th. I like Insidious a lot. You know, I played them early on, and I thought they were really good then. And I mean, I think kind of what you guys were talking about interchangeable. I feel like Insidious is also one of those interchangeable teams. You know, and the next matchup for them will be very interesting, kind of determining of where they truly lie in this ranking. But for now, I have them at 5th. So.
And we are gonna continue then. Navino, your 5th seed.
Billings Boomers. Yeah. Just the turnaround from early season losses and how they run some weird stuff, and that's not my doing. Like, I think they ran like Genji something against Uzumaki. Not my doing. That is Pufa's doing. Pufa and Y6. And I just think they've looked really good going in, and they've gotten better and better. So I think they could do pretty well.
I personally, my 5th seed, I ended up going with Double Dukes. I feel like this is probably the hottest take of the bunch. I think what did it for me is probably everybody on their team. I'm kidding. No, but in genuine seriousness, with Devil Dukes, they end up playing a lot of games really close, and unfortunately, when they got close against Epizeuxis, like they started off great. They went 2-0, everything looked great, and then all of a sudden, shit hit the fan, and it was not great to see. Like, it was kind of a collapse. And then when they played Epi earlier on in the season, they got blown out. They also collapsed. So my concern with Devil Dukes is I think they are capable of beating some of the other teams above them, but I don't necessarily know that they can win a championship with this roster. I don't know that they can. But then again, I feel like everybody outside of Epizeuxis, I have that exact same question right now. Because I feel like Epi is well positioned to win the championship right now. But does every other team have that ability to do that right now? I don't necessarily think so. That's why I think Epi is by far the clearest favorite of any tier right now. So, yeah. Then 6th seed, finally, me and Nagi, we both agreed Billings Boomers. Nagi, why don't you talk about it?
Yeah, well, I don't have a lot to say about this 6. I just feel like the other teams above is better. I don't know. I don't think they're necessarily out of place, but I think they kind of just belong in 6th right now.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Yeah, my biggest thing with Billings is I feel like if they were up against a lot of the other teams in the upper bracket who got eliminated out, that I feel like they would have lost. I feel like their schedule in the lower bracket, just to be blunt and honest, not the hardest schedule. You know, if you look at who they played Rat Society. They played Zeus, who since stage 1 hasn't won a match.
Or a map.
Or a map. Yeah, so that says a lot about that. And then they played Uzumaki, and Uzumaki has been pretty good this season, but I would personally argue that at times Puerto Rico has looked better, Sigma's looked better, Carnage has looked better, Insidious has looked better. Arcadia, I feel like at times has looked better. Arcadia obviously lost to Uzumaki. I just feel like Billings' path to the top champ bracket was really easy compared to a team like, compared to teams that had to take on like Carnage and teams that had to take on Insidious, things like, and Sigma. Like those teams, I think I would take all 3 of those right now over Billings. So.
Now for my 6th seed.
Yes.
I have Insidious as my 6th. I am not hot on Insidious. I think they're a one-trick pony. I think they do it very effectively, but I question how if they lose a map, how are they going to adapt? Mm-hmm. And I actually, Yeti, your sentiment about their lower bracket run is how I feel as well, because I don't rate Puerto Rico highly and I don't rate Sigma highly. I feel the exact same way. just opposite per team, I guess. And I think if Carnage makes it to that match, albeit all the whatever going on with that, it's a different story because I think Carnage at their peak was a champ bracket team.
Yes.
But you just got to win, Forehead.
Right. In the end, it's all about just winning. You can talk. You can yell and scream and cry. But in the end, it's just friggin' win, Forehead. That's basically what it boils down
win,
to.
Forehead.
Go make
Bernie
your
Main
go.
Sport couldn't carry you enough, Gap. I'm sorry. I love you, Gap.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. No, let's get out of this here. And let's talk about some other stuff now. Let's talk about some predictions, guys. We were gonna hop into it here. Only a few matches this week, only 7 matches. So we'll bust through these really quick. EU Scrimbucks versus Venice Vipers. Winner has a date with Feeders United in the finals. Who is taking it? Nagi, what you got?
I have 4-2 Venice Vipers. I think it's going to be pretty close. I think Scrimbucks may start off strong, and then I believe in Venice Vipers, so I think they're going to end up taking the latter half.
Navino, what about you?
I have 4-3 Scrimbucks.
Be a great match.
I like staying true to what I'm saying. I think the momentum is going to favor them. Venice, I think, has been a body of work, but as we talk about, this is win or go home. And I think Scrimbucks, given all the adversity they faced, will dig deep and meet that.
Let's go to Harmony Tier NA, and we are going to get to Koala Kings taking on Strix. Nagi.
I have 4-3 Strix. Since I mentioned Strix earlier, being a little higher, yeah. I just believe in them. I think it's going to be super close. So yeah, 4-3.
Navino.
I have 4-1 Koala. Everything I've said, I think my ranking of Strix makes sense to why I think Koala will win.
Galactic Penguins versus Luminous Foxes on the other side of the bracket. Nagi, start us off.
I have 4-1 Galactic Penguins. I just feel like Galactic Penguins is a strong team, and they're going to pull through it pretty easily.
Navino, who do you got?
I got 4-3 Luminous. 4-3.
4-3 Luminous Foxes.
I think it'll go to distance, yeah.
That's going to be a really good match. I'm excited to see what the results of that one are for sure. Oath, new Discord tier championship bracket team versus Renegades. 2 of the better stories in Discord tier this season. Both teams not really expected to do much after stage 1. Renegades barely squeaking into stage 2 as a pool team, but both teams have looked really good since then. Nagi, who do you got?
I believe in Oath. 4-2 Oath. I want to see a good match. So yeah.
Navino.
I got 4-1 Renegades.
The Oath dream dies with Navino.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Is it because you hate the state of Oklahoma? Is that what it is?
I live in Oklahoma, actually. Fun fact: I grew up there till I was 8 or 9.
That's why he hates it.
That's why you hate
No,
it.
I'm a Boomer Sooner. I'm a Boomer Sooner in college football.
And yet you pick against the Okies. I am ashamed. I am shame. Anyways, you don't let your personal biases interfere on that one.
No, I do not.
I'm not on that one. All right. Anyways, Quokka Queens taking on Steel Team Spuds. Nagi.
I have 4-3 Quokka Queens. I think it's going to be close. I really want to see Steel Team Spuds do it, but I don't know if they can. So I think it's going to be close either way. It could be 3-4, 4-3. We'll see. But yeah. I
got 4-2. Same kind of thing. I just think that once one team gets once that map 5, I think that the series will be determined on map 5. Whoever wins map 5, I think they'll just take the momentum and win the series.
Map 5 is a very important match in a first to 4. Because that is a defining map oftentimes, I feel like. Let's go to Billings Boomers versus the Decapitators. Nagi, you're playing in this one, so I'm skipping you on this one.
Do you want me to predict since I'm the GM of Boomers technically? I don't know.
Technically you are, but I'm going to go ahead and say yes. because you're not playing in the match, you are predicting it. Or you are just GMing it. So I'm gonna give you that.
Well, I predict against my own team. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, team. I have 4-2 decaps. I do think Boomers have improved a lot, and I think they could make this close. But, rest in peace, the bakery. We will not have him on Wednesday.
All right. Let's go now to Insidious versus Devil Dukes. Nagi, start us off.
I think this is going to be a very interesting and close game. So I picked 4-3 Devil Dukes.
Navino.
I have a 4-1 Devil Dukes. I kind of covered this in what I thought about Insidious already. I think DD is just will probably give up a map and then kind of just steamroll the rest.
All right. We are going to take just a couple minute break here real quick, guys. We will be right back. We'll be back with the results of the fantasy draft that we did earlier this week. So stay tuned. We'll be just back in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. We are back with the Iris Podcast, guys. We are going to get into our fantasy draft, and we are going to be speed running this a little bit since we are running behind on time, so do stick with us here. We're going to start off in the Harmony Tier EU division. Really quick to explain the fantasy draft. We have to pick 2 tanks, 2 DPS, 2 supports. They do not have to be assigned to individual roles as tanks, DPS, or supports. They just have to be a tank, DPS, or support. And then everybody can select 1 player of any role for EU and 2 of any role in the other NA tiers. Here's the other kicker. Once you pick a person from a team, that team is locked for you, meaning you can only pick 1 player from each team. So if you picked, for instance, Elixir from the EU Scrimbucks, you cannot pick, for instance, Aiden from the EU Scrimbucks, just as an example. Let's start off with the round 1. This is between myself, Nagi, and Navino. I had the first overall pick, and I went with Yoshi from Apollo. Navino followed suit with Gadren from Apollo. Nagi went with Elixir from the EU Scrimbucks here. No real surprise. I think these are kind of all pretty standard picks. Navino, tell us why you went with Gadren.
I just think he's been outstanding DPS, a good solid base round. Albeit like Apollo kind of like fizzled out in playoffs, but I still think he was a big bright spot on that team, and one of the best DPS in the tier.
Nagi, you went with Elixir. Do you want to describe that pick?
Yeah. So I think Elixir is a very strong DPS. I think that she's a player that has contributed to a lot of Scrimbuck success. I think their team as a whole is great, but I think Elixir's done a lot for them. So,
I obviously Yoshi, outstanding person, outstanding leader. Not much else needs to be said. Round 2, we had Skyflower for Nagi for the Venice Vipers. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. All these people have cool names on my team, I noticed. I think, tanks. Well, okay, this didn't go in order as I thought it was going to go, so I have this whole thing that doesn't make sense anymore. So anyway, I think that, the supports and teams help the core stay alive, which is such an important thing. And I think that Skyflower was a big contributor to that happening and helping Venice Vipers get where they are now. So, supports keep things together.
Navino, you ended up going with Rubik's on this one.
Yeah. When you go and look at a dominant team, usually you will find a good tank line. Usually. And that's kind of what my strategy was here. I thought Rubik's was pretty outstanding on, I want to say off tank, right? I'm not tripping, right? They played off tank for feeders, or were they the main tank?
Rubik's is the off tank.
Yeah. Like, I just remember watching feeders and being like, oh, their diva's quite good. They were in position a lot. They deny space from enemy DPS, and that's what I like on the team as a fellow diva player myself.
I went with Mate from Venice Vipers. Been a big part of their resurgence here in stage 2, and the playoffs obviously as well. Round 3, I went with Nero from A10 Esports. We all know how I feel about Reinhardt players. I'm just going to leave it at that. Navino, you went with Linus Tech Tip from Thunderbolt Rewind, and Nagi, you picked How to Draw from Feeders United. Navino, tell us a little bit about your pick.
When I watch Linus play, I just think Thunderbolt looks coordinated, well put together, and I really like his Winston play. So I was just like, yeah, let's get a LeMonk. I really don't have a lot more analysis than LeMonk.
That's fair enough for me. What about you? Nagi?
How to Draw, I think, is a strong player for Feeders United, and this is where the other thing I was trying to say comes in play. Tanks are often the core of a team, and Feeders United has been doing really well. So I think that How to Draw has definitely contributed to that success so far.
And let's go to our next round then. Round 4 in this draft. Nagi, you went with Bouncy Mouse from Frequency. The team did not win a single game all season, but you went with Bouncy Mouse. Tell us why.
Best Widow in EU, according to the Widow 1v1 thing. So I think, having a good Widow is a good pickup for any team, win the Widow duels and get a few extra picks. So,
Navino, you picked 2 Madre from Venice Vipers.
I feel like I picked 2 flex DPS, but because, I think Pharah goes Burr and Doomfist and Genji. You know, like those are just flashy characters that are
Right.
just super fun to watch mechanically. So that's kind of like that's where I am. You know, like I just like watching good flex DPS. Like I'll be real.
That's fair. I picked Relander from Thunderbolt Rewind. Speaking of fantastic DPS, you know, it's hard to argue with them and the table, both of them kind of leading Thunderbolt Rewind to get to as far as they did in stage or in the playoffs here. Round 5 of our draft, I went with Hus from Aesir here. And I definitely was a huge fan of this team this season. They unfortunately did not have a great playoff, but I feel like that's not entirely indicative of their overall play. I was really impressed with Hughes from Acer the entire way through. Navino, you went with Aiden from EU Scrimbucks.
I just watched the stream match. Aiden really had just a stellar Zenyatta. And, you know,
Right.
Zengo Burr. You know, if you're in the kill feed a lot, odds are I probably picked you at some point. I'll be real. But I just really liked his Zenyatta.
Nagi, you went with Mystic from Apollo.
Yes, I did. Another very cool name. Was voted best main tank in EU. So I think, you know, it's a good pickup. Another player that is definitely like the core of their team for good reason, you know.
Let's go to the 6th round here. Nagi, you went with Dragon Wolf from the Hellhounds.
Yes. Another cool name. You see what I mean? Like there's so many cool names here. Yeah, so really good player. From what I was seeing in the Trank chat, they were or are gold, but they played on their team to a diamond level, which, you know, is a lot of pressure, but they definitely rose to the occasion for their team. So big props and good pickup, I think.
Navino, you went with Hungry from Paid to Win.
Oh yeah, I did. You were correct. Mostly, I honestly thought this would be a funny bit for the podcast because, as True Donger pointed out at the beginning, the last couple times I've been on, I eat. I'm hungry during the podcast, so thus Hungry needs to be on my team, as well as he's just a good support player. Like Paid to Win was a good team. They flamed out a little bit early, but still really like a top team, and they deserve that spot.
I went with KK from the Hellhounds. Really impressive support play this season. Hellhounds in general, I feel like kind of got a little bit unappreciated or underrespected for what they accomplished this season in the EU Harmony tier. One of the lower SR overall teams came in, ended up walking out with a 4 seed, had a decent showing in the playoffs as well. Really impressed with Hellhounds this season. And then round 7, I went with Dr. Shark from Orthus, DPS player, outstanding DPS. They picked him up near the end of the season, and my goodness, did they make an immediate impact on this team. Fantastic Pharah player as well. Navino, you went with Monk from Aesir.
Monkey. But yes, as you said earlier, like Aesir had a really good season. It kind of was disappointing to see him flame out, and I thought Monkey was a big part of that. And when I think of flex players, I personally think of DPS players generally, because you know what translates between roles. You click and you point and you do the thing, you know. So I went with the DPS player for my flex player. And I thought Monkey was really good. That was left.
All right. And Nagi, wrap us up. Final pick of the draft. You went with Chinoy from Thunderbolt Rewind.
Yeah. So kind of exactly what Navino just said there. I think that this player is a good fit for being a flex here because they're a strong DPS. You know, there's a DPS in every role. So, you know, having a DPS player on flex is a good choice, especially when they're a strong DPS.
All right. Let's move on now out of Harmony Tier EU. Let's get into the NA Harmony Tier. This one was a little different, guys. We went with 8 picks instead of 7, and we had 6 people drafting with us. A few guest drafters, they won't have the opportunity to justify their picks, but they will have the opportunity to have their picks shown. And all these teams, by the way, will be shown off on Twitter. We'll have some polls out for them within the next couple of days, and you guys can vote on your favorite rosters. But let's start off in round 1 in the Harmony Tier NA. Thor had the number 1 pick, went with Rakaneko from Luminous Foxes. Number 2, Navino, you went with Noct from Koala Kings. Can you tell us about this clear marsupial bias?
I mean, I think it's hard pressed to argue that there hasn't been a better mechanical DPS in the tier just across all the heroes, especially Tracer and stuff. And I knew if I did not pick them first, they would be gone by the time my pick came around next. I'll be real. So I was like, yoink.
We have another pick here. Then PDK went with Drug from FBRD. Then we had 4th Nerfed, ended up going with Jonesy from the Galactic Penguins. Then my pick in 5th, I went with Sleepy G from Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies. My personal favorite for MVP, been a severely underrated player most of the season, finally getting some respect, it seems, as the season has gone on here. The incredible Tracer play, is a fantastic player overall for that team, definite carry of that team. And Nagi went with Hydros from FBRD. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies, super strong team right now. I think did I have him as a? Yeah, I had him as a flex. Yeah, I don't have the actual sheet up. My bad. But yeah, I think that they're a perfect choice for a flex. DPS players are perfect for flex roles, like I said before. Zen, Zarya, and I think that Hydros could play any role well in that regard. So.
Let's go back to the picks here for round 2. Nagi, you went with Widowmane on this one.
Yes. Galactic Penguins is pretty good. I think that Widowmane is a very good player. So I think that this is a really strong pickup.
Then I went with PVB from Strix. Strix has been obviously very, very strong this season. PVB has been really their best player by a fair margin, at least on the DPS side. Obviously, Mimp, credit to Mimp being an incredible support player all season. But for me, PVB was just incredible all season, and I was really impressed with what they accomplished. Definitely a fantastic DPS player. Nerfed, Nerfed ended up picking Booncore from Frost Nova, not just a Pokemon, a fantastic DPS player. PDK went with Null from Koala Kings, and then we had Navino, your pick, Godzilla from the Jersey Boys.
I love a good Rhyme player. I love someone that runs it down mid,
right?
So I went with the boy himself, Godzilla.
Then Thor wrapped us up here in the second round, ended up going with Yojimbo from Strix. On to the third round here. Third round, we had Ember Chad from Nemesis taken by Thor here. Navino, your third pick, you went with a off tank from the Big Bang Buccaneers, and that is Bethcon. What are your thoughts?
Dang, I meant to pick NPC.
I know, right?
Beth just plays very solid diva.
Right.
Obviously, one of the best off tanks in the tier. I literally was like, I want to play fast brawl. What do you need in fast brawl? You need a good diva. So here we are.
All right. Let's do next pick here. PDK picked from Galactic Penguins, great support player. Nerfed, same thing, support player. Went Frog from Frostbloom. I went with another support player. I went with QB from Big Bang Buccaneers, the best main support in the tier this season, as voted on by your end of season awards committee. And then Nagi, you went with BB8 from the Jersey Boys. Do you want to talk about that pick?
Yeah, I mean, I like like Jersey Boys, and I think the BB-8 is a good tank player, you know? So I think, you know, tanks are the core component in a good team, and you know, I like Jersey Boys, so I think BB-8 contributed a lot to, you know, what Jersey Boys did. So
Let's go with your fourth round here. Nagi, you went back to the Big Bang Buccaneers, and you picked Toxic.
I did. I think Toxic has always been a really strong, consistent player, and that's what you want on a team. So that's why I have recruited him to my fantasy draft here.
Mm-hmm. I personally went with Rocket from Koala Kings. Rocket joined this season mid-season, lended some stability after KK lost their main tank user intel earlier this season, and I think that has been a big part of why they only have one loss so far this season. Nerfed picked Beppo from the Big Bang Buccaneers, another pirate off the board. PDK went with Clem from the Luminous Foxes. Navino, you went with another support player, Onyx from Galactic Penguins. You want to talk about that?
I think flex support is one of the most important vital roles. If you get flex support, you can bail yourself out of a lot of fights. And I think Onyx, whatever you want to call him, is probably one, if not the best flex support in the tier. And yeah, that's what I
got. Let's talk a little bit about then moving on here. Pardon me. Thor picks Titan from Jersey Boys, the last pick of the fourth round. Into the fifth round we go. Tissue from Doodles, taken by Thor, taking the first one here from the Doodles org. Navino, you went back to some marsupial bias. You picked Ashes.
Oh, geometric. I was like, wait, I didn't actually pick two koalas.
Marsupial affiliated.
I mean, Ashes never been on marsupial team. If I picked Wooly, though, I would get you. But Ashes, yeah, I mean, big bright spot on that team. If you watch any of the games Geometric played, like Ashes is just really good mechanically.
Right.
And it's I think they're like 3-3 now or something like that. They've obviously grinded the game and they've climbed because of it.
Let's do our next round. Our next picks here. PDK from picked Phoenix from the Big Bang Buccaneers, nerfed Alta 4 from the Amateur Professionals, and I went with Sticko from the Galactic Penguins. Sticko, very, very good off tank. The Sigma play is very, very strong. Been very impressed all season with what they've accomplished with that roster, staying steady despite some setbacks all season. And then Nagi, you went with Sav from Luminous Foxes. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah. So I just think that Sav has helped them a lot in their current success. I think that they're a good player with a lot of potential, which is why I put them here. So.
All right, and then sixth round here. Nagi, start back out with you. You have Order from Chrysalis.
Yes. So I think that Order is a strong May support, you know. I don't think we haven't gone for my again, I didn't know how this was gonna go, so I actually have a whole thing written for this that I'll have to say later. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's my bad. But yeah, I think that they're just a strong main support, and that is why I picked them, and it will make more sense in a minute, I guess.
I went with Wooly from Geometric. Navino, we had Mooncake as well from FBRD, Prince Zexu from Geometric, and Stelbell from Frost Nova. No, Navino, that was your pick. You want to talk about that one?
When I look at Frost Nova, I think a constant positive from them was their Lucio play. And so, if we're going with my theme of just running it down mid, I got to get a Lucio player up in here.
Sure.
And I picked Frost Nova's Lucio player for this one.
Fair enough. Then the final pick there was Thor taking Coconut from Fire Breathing River Duckies. Last two rounds here in the Harmony tier. Thor picked Jacob F from the Turbo Throwers. Navino, you ended up taking Shobi from Galactic Penguins. Want to talk about that?
So this is where I did the oopsie, Eddie. I definitely accidentally picked two Galactic Penguins. And for those wondering, No, Chobi, me picking you did not make you not be able to pick by anyone else because of the shenanigans that happened to me this weekend, which our draft order was artificial at this point. So, Yeti, do you want me to do a repick and say who I should actually pick, or are we just going to leave it? I don't know. Like, I did an oopsie.
Well, we'll ignore that. PDK picks Optibot from Nemesis. Nerfed ended up going with Bento from the Jersey Boys. I ended up going with Pugster from the Fighting Potatoes. Nagi, you picked Nighthawk from Strix. Want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so I've been a Strix fan this season. I've seen Nighthawks play, which I think is one of the big contributors to their success. I think that main supports are kind of widely overlooked for what they can do for a team. Nighthawk came into this current season as their first season here and made top 8 main supports, which I think that says a lot. That doesn't always happen with people. So yeah, that was kind of what I was saying is with Order, I picked 2 main supports, but I think that I think there's a new meta coming. I think double main support is the future. We're gonna witness it with this team, so at least imagine it. So,
I will go to the next round here, the final round. Nagi starting off Vila from the Fighting Potatoes.
oh yes, it's Vila. Great player, great person. I think that he was an amazing pickup, honestly, for Fighting Potatoes, and did a lot for them in the short amount of time that he was there. Just a lot of potential, and I think he's perfect choice for flex because he's played a few roles before. So.
All right, and your next pick here for me, I went with Florida from Frostbloom. Nerfed takes TIE Fighter from Koala Kings, a very strong late round pick there for Nerfed. PDK with Shay Young from the Doodles. Navino takes Matthew from Strix. Navino, want to talk about that?
I said this kind of in my rankings. I
Yes,
thought Matt was
you did
really
actually. Yep.
Yeah, like in my re-rank, like I thought Matt was a big bright spot, and I think when I need a flex player, the 2 people that when you want to flex, I think are like a DPS player or an off-tank player, because both have really applicable things across everywhere, including mechanics and everything else. So I'm with Matt.
And then final pick of the Harmony tier draft is Azino from Frost Nova by Thor. Let's go into your Discord tier draft, guys. Starting us off at the very top with your number 1 pick again is Thor. He picks Train from the Cosmic Castaways. Navino, you had the second overall pick here. You ended up going with Swifters. You want to talk about that?
Well, bias, of course. Swifters is going to get an ego for this one. But what's funny, we had a group chat. As soon as I picked Swifters, Nerf just goes, why? Why do you do this to me? Because Nerf was going to pick Swifters as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, it's kind of one of those things where it's like they've proven themselves to be a great DPS when they decided to not skip scrims. Cough, cough, Swifters.
Right.
And, yeah, they're, to me, an MVP candidate.
PDK goes with Cryptic from Joey Esports. Nerfed goes with Cry from the Cosmic Castaways. I went with Matson from the Quokka Queens. And Nagi, you went with Minnie from the Cosmic Castaways. Do you want to talk about that one at all?
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it was kind of a no-brainer. I played against Minnie and Tranced here, and they were actually just so good. So, I feel like Minnie can play any role with relative ease and do a lot for any team. So,
then we'll go back to you again, Nagi, at the start of round 2. You went with our first Oath player. That's Voltage from Oath.
Yes, Voltage DPS.
I wonder what he plays.
Yeah, I feel like I mentioned earlier, a lot of us just like Oath. I like this team a lot, and I think all their players are great, and I feel like they deserve some recognition. I feel like Voltage DPS did a lot for their team, so I'm happy to recruit them to this fantasy draft here.
Right. I went with Mag Polar from the Cosmic Castaways. then number 9 pick Nerf took Rabbit Gunner from the Renegades. 10th pick PDK chose Pyro from the Cosmic Castaways. Davino, you went again to Marsupial team. You went to Basket from the Quacky Queens.
Yeah, I mean, you took Madsen, who was going to be Swifter's DPS partner, but you took Madsen. So
there's there's no way Madsen got out of the first round. Come on, man.
Shh, look, man, one can dream, okay? And I'm legally not allowed to pick Reborn for stinky reasons. All right, so I decided to go with Basket from QQ. He's just probably one of the best flex sports in the tier. You see how different QQ plays without him. Look at the Renegades 3-2 win. You also see like how well they play when he's there firing all cylinders. Look at their most recent game versus Rampaging Inferno, where he kind of just frags out.
Then we go to the final pick of this round. The Thor picks Capital from the SEAL Team Spuds. Next round, we got Thor picking Iconic from Space Created. Do you want to? I'm sorry, and then Navino back to Space Created as well. That's what I was distracted by. You picked Fungin. Want to talk about that one?
Yeah, I think I think Fungin. To me, there are like 3 really good main supports, or like that stand out to me in Discord. That's RMM from Joey, that's Cry from Cosmic, and then Fungin to me is up there. And I just think that they provide stability, they provide shot calling, and they're just so good at what they do.
All right. PDK chose Sarah from the SEAL Team Spuds. Nerfed took Respite from Redacted. And I took Glitch from the SEAL Team Spuds, mostly because I need somebody to do graphics.
True.
Banger graphics, by the way. Keep an eye out on the Pictures and Art channel. You might see another giveaway from Glitch in the future. Nagi, you went with Mazoku from Domination. You want to talk about that one?
Yeah, I kind of noticed Domination's a very big team. They have lots of players and a lot of flexes, but the only player that was listed as just a support is Mizoku. I think that they're a great player who really knows and understands their role and how to best play to benefit their team. So I thought that was a good pick.
All right. Then we go to the 4th round overall here, and we start off with Womp Domp from Valkyrie. Nagi?
Me, yes. Womp Domp's been around Trank for a while. I think they're a very good player. I think they've always been consistent, good game sense and knowledge. I think that's just definitely the kind of player you want on your team.
I ended up picking Navino from Joey Esports.
Hi. You want to talk about that?
No, I don't want to talk about that because the last thing I want to do is talk about that. Look at chat. Chat is up in arms over this. But you know what? All I'm saying is Navino hit 3-7 and none of you have. So,
let's see. Let me make sure that no one. Well, Pyro can peach check me.
Pyro can peach check you, but I'm just gonna I'm gonna type copium in the chat just to make sure that
Apom my number 1 fan. Apom's my number 1 fan.
All right. Anyways, Nerfed ended up going with Nova from the SEAL Team Spuds. PDK chose Haze from the Quaka Queens. Davino, you picked Infuse from the Renegades. Want to talk about that?
I really think like outside of Cryptic, LCS, like Infuse is probably the next best main tank. And they can play ball, they can play Rhine, even though they did lose to my Rhine in a Rhine 1v1. Just gotta say that. I can't put that out there. Really did put the work in them. But I'll take it. I'll take the person that can play ball when I cannot play ball.
And Thor goes with Zotaic from Valkyrie. Let's go to round 5. We have Thor picking Brent from Domination. And Navino, you went with Choi Soo-won from the SEAL Team Spuds. You want to talk about that one?
I mean, Choi's just been such a nice rock for Spuds, and I think that they are, to me, if you took Spuds players and ranked them who's the best player on their team, I think Choi is probably 2 or 3 just from watching. Yeah. And even though he's a Sigma OTP, we'll make it work.
PDK chose Beto from the Renegades. Nerfed with Winter from Frost Surge. Mr. Yeti chooses Sicko Mobamba from Domination, mostly because that name is cool. Cool. Nagi, you went with B-Ball Man 69 from Quokka Queens. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I've seen this person play before. I saw them play on a feature match. I think it was last season. Could be wrong. Maybe it was this season. But anyway, they are like such a good tank player, like actually nutty, honestly. So I think that's just like a really big pickup. Good pick.
Round 6 now, you have Mweep from Fenrir. You want to talk about Mweep from Fenrir?
Oh, it's me again.
Yes, it's
Sorry,
you.
I was petting
You.
my cat. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like we, from what I've seen, for some seasons, yeah, at least a few seasons, has always been, like solid and consistent player. I just think they're a good pickup for any team. That's why I added them here. Good player.
I went with Silver from Oath. Nerf goes with Fulgin from Ragnarok Fenrir as well. PDK chose Panther from Oath. Navino went with a Cosmic Castaway. You went with Speedy. You want to talk about Speedy?
There's nothing to really say. I mean, they play with Cosmic. As much as I hate to inflate Vix's ego, that Cosmic's a good team, and Speedy's a good player. They played in Transfer last season, and
Right.
shockingly enough, they're good when they lower the competition.
Mm-hmm. Shocking indeed.
I know. Who would have seen this coming?
I know. Thor picks RMM from Joey Esports and then goes back in with round 7, picks Reborn from the Quokka Queens, double dipping into the marsupial hellhole. Navino chooses Wolf from Inferno Foxes. You want to talk about Wolf?
I think Wolf is quite literally like, what was a good example? Like, Swifters uses this like example. He is LeBron on like the 07 Cavs on the Inferno Foxes. That's how I feel. Wolf is just by far their best player, and it's not even close. And I had to give him some love here because I feel like he's been on Inferno Foxes for so long, and they just was he. I don't know if he was on a season 6, but I know season 7 this season they just have not done well. But he's always been there, stuck it out, and just been so good for them.
All right. PDK chooses Mix Ready from Alta 4. Nerfed with Tanic B from Joey Esports. I went with Mini Wheats from Renegades. Nagi Cucumber from Inferno Foxes. Want to chat about that one?
Yeah. So I talked a few times about a DPS being a great option for a flex player, but sometimes they're just players that are good regardless of the role they primarily play. And I think Cucumber is a great main support. And I think that main support gives you a great view of everyone playing, and that can greatly attribute to being a good player in any role you're put into. So.
All right. And then the last round for the Discord tier, Nagi, you picked Twists from Firefight. You want to talk about Twists?
Yeah, Twists. I was trying to figure out how to pronounce that earlier. I was like, how am I going to say this? Yeah, so what better to have a flex player for, than an actual flex player rostered as a flex. I think that Twist has always been a good player and a great choice for a flex position on a team. So, I'm happy to choose them for flex. I said that word a lot.
I chose Prime from Redacted. Nerfed went with Dylan from Oath. PDK went with Touch from Redacted. Navino, your final pick, you chose somebody from Rampaging Inferno. You chose Skylar. You want to talk about that one?
I think of Rampaging Inferno. I think they have really 2 or 3 really good players that made them get as close to champ bracket as they did. And since how much ball comp they play, I think this Zen's a large part in that. So I wanted part of that on my team.
All right, and then the final pick for this round and this draft, Thor picks Captain Nibbles from Ragnarok Fenrir. Again, these rosters will be posted on Twitter, so hang tight. Those will be up in the coming days. Go to Transcendence tier now to wrap us up. Our first round picks, Thor picks Cam from Epizeuxis as the number 1 pick. Navino with the number 2 pick. Maybe a bit of a surprise here, going with Telm Jacan from Battalion. Do you want to talk about that pick?
Telm's my GOAT. Can play both. Can play a lot of things. You've seen him play ball. You've seen him play the diva. You've seen him play probably every tank on the roster. And especially when I saw Cam go number 1, I was like, I can't reunite this old volcanic tank line. I gotta take Telm. So tell my goat. As you see the epic people in chat now.
Then we look at PDK picking Orsted from Decapitators, nerfed with Frozen from Epizeuxis. I chose Smugs from the Decapitators, and Nagi, you chose Phone from the Devil Dukes. What did?
Yeah. Wow. Again, one of those teams that has such a big roster. Oh my gosh. Just looking at Double Dukes, it's like maxed out. But yeah, I think that Phone slash Brooke, I don't know. Yeah.
Phone's fine.
Phone. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Phone, is a great DPS on a very good team. I think that they contribute a lot to Devil Duke's success. I mean, there's a lot of players on this team, but still, I think that should be a good addition to any trans tier team, honestly. So yeah.
7th pick overall, you picked Dab Master 66 from Carnage. Tell me why you would do that.
Why I would do that? I don't know. It's Dab Master 66.
Can't argue with that
think,
logic.
I mean, I think the Dab is a great player and does a lot for Carnage, so I just think it's a good pick.
All right, number 8 pick, I went with Stinky from Insidious. Number 9 pick, Sia from Carnage by Nerfed. PDK chose number 10, Aplom from the Devil Dukes. 11th pick, Navino, you picked Haruhiro from Epizeuxis. Tell us about why you picked Haruhiro.
I had to reunite Talm and Haruhiro from their old league together. Had to reunite them. And Haruhiro to me is like honestly the best player on Epi, even better than Cam. Cam, you're washed, you're old, and just he made sense. He is like a great flex DPS. He can play a lot of roles, play soldier, play tracer, play whatever. You will play whatever you want, and he will carry on it.
All right. Then the last pick of this round, Thor choosing Dizzy from the Devil Dukes. Comes back in the 3rd round with PDK from Battalion. Navino, you went with Poofa from the Billings Boomers. Tell us a little bit about Poofa.
Just a positive influence, a good Cam good. Sorry, I'm laughing when just Cam added me in chat. But it was a solid player, really good. Probably, one of the big reasons Boomers had the turnaround even made champ bracket at all. So I wanted a good main support to build around.
All right. Then we go to our next pick with Golo from Epizeuxis by PDK, K Stelly from Insidious by Nerfed. I went with Slimal from Epizeuxis, and Nagi, you went with Yukio from Insidious. Can you tell us about that pick?
Yeah. So Insidious, was a team that I remember playing pretty early on decaps, and I thought they were, a good team. I think that Yukio definitely contributes a lot to keeping her team alive, getting the plays that are necessary, on that role. So I think that that's a great pickup for a support player.
Round number 4 here, Nagi, coming back to you. You chose Carrot from Uzumaki. You want to talk about that one?
Yes. Uzumaki was another one of those teams that played I think it was the first team that I went up against. But yeah, they were a pretty good team, and I think that they got better as the season went on. Carrot is up for All-Stars voting for Tank, so I think it's definitely for a good reason.
All right, next pick, I chose Ravage from Carnage. Nerf chose Star Platinum from Battalion. PDK with Tescu from Reckless Arcadia. Navino, Aster Ray from the Devil Dukes. You want to talk about that one?
Nothing really to say. Like when you think of Devil Dukes, you think of Phone, and then after Phone, like who's their like title DPS duo?
Right,
Ray, Lily, whatever you want to call them. Like they, frankly, have just insane mechanical ability.
Agreed.
And that's what I want.
Thor with Thanatos from Reckless Arcadia. Then let's go to next picks. Thor picks Storm from Billings Boomers. Navino, Apollo from Carnage.
What really sold it for me was seeing Apollo in puppy form from the Carnage Twitter, of course. I think Apollo had a really good diva and adjusted well. It was like the big consistent piece on that team outside of Ravage. So, and Sia, but yeah. So I wanted a good off-tank player, and I got it.
PDK chose Chimanzi from Throwing Our Bad's Nerfed, kept up the Throwing Our Bad love with Smarties. And then I went with Nyx from Uzumaki. Nagi, you chose Spectre from Reckless Sigma.
Yeah, Reckless Sigma, I think, was a pretty good team, and I think that Spectre was definitely another contributing factor to that team. They were the GM and captain plus the tank player, so I think that definitely means leadership can rally people together. So I think that's always a good thing for a team.
Nagi picks Spectre there. Let's go to round 6. Round 6, you went with Sir Olin from Reckless Arcadia.
Yes. I have seen Sir Olin around. I've seen him play, and I think is definitely a solid player. Being the GM of Arcadia and also support says to me, again, with leadership, that he's a good leader and contribute important information in a game, which is always important for any team. So,
I went with Lucana from Puerto Rico, Nerfed with DNA from Decapitators, PDK with Gap from Carnage. Navino going off the radar on this one, went from the Swarm Hornets with Slick.
This was quite literally, I didn't realize how sparse and like how quickly we run out of players when like trans tier has like a few less teams than every other tier because they had the most dropouts. And I was like, what do I do? I need to flex support. Okay, who do I recognize? Slick. Slick is my boy. Very good player. That's really all I got.
Thor chooses Voltage B from the Decapitators. Moving in the 7th round here, Araceli from Insidious for Thor, 38th pick. Navino, you chose Rusher from Insidious. Want to talk about that one?
When I looked at people that left, like, because I kind of picked at my draft was a wee bit scuffed, wee bit. So when I looked back at everyone, I was like, who could just fill the gaps? And I thought, kind of staying in my theme of picking off. Rushers are off tank, right? I'm not about to Rushers are up, right?
DPS player.
Wow, never mind. I'm an idiot. Either way, I still stay within my theme of like off tank or DPS as my flex players, and there we are.
Fair enough. PDK with Greninja from Battalion, Nerfed with Bad Widow from Reckless Sigma. I went with Calypso from Reckless Sigma. Nagi, you went with Chief for the Billings Boomers.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about Chief.
I think Chief is great. I think good player, likes to post the dancing rat in the chats a lot, which I like. So yeah, I mean, on top of being a good player, I think having positive vibes is important for any team. So I think he can bring that.
Final round here. Nagi, you went with Unchanged from Vengeance.
Yeah, so I think that Unchanged is a great player and a person. Sip tea guy. I think he has great vibes, great plays too, which I think is the best thing you can get in a player for any team. I think he's just a perfect choice for a flex player. Could probably play any role and provide good info and be positive.
I went with Astro Zerg from Reckless Arcadia, Nerfed with Hureg from Reckless Arcadia, then going to PDK with Scenic from Insidious. Navino, your last pick, you went with Okita from Reckless Sigma. You want to talk about that?
Reckless Sigma, bubble champ bracket team. When I look at them, I'm like, wow, Okita has done really well. And it's really all there is to it. Like when I just watch games, I see people that stand out, and Okita stood out to me. So I picked them up when I saw that they were still available at the end of the draft.
All right. And the final pick is Thor picking Wings from Uzumaki. That is the end of our fantasy drafts, guys. I hope you enjoyed them. We will be posting them to Twitter at some point here in the next couple days. Stay tuned, and they will be up. We'll do some polling. We'll have some fun with those. We do have a giveaway and an announcement as well regarding Season 9. I know a lot of people have questions about Season 9. When will there be some more information out there? I am going to reveal a big thing for Season 9 right now for people. Here's the thing with Season 9, guys. A lot of people have questions. It'll be Overwatch 1. Will it be Overwatch 2? The problem is we know as much as you do. So as of today, Season 9 is going to be on Overwatch 1. But that's as of today. It could be different in a month. It could be different in 2 months. It could be different in 3 months. It could be different in the middle of the season. We just don't know because much like you all, we are at the mercy of Mother Blizzard, and we will have to wait. So, unfortunately, the answer to the question, will Overwatch or will Tranquility Season 9 be in Overwatch 1 or Overwatch 2? The answer to that question is, That is the only bit of information we have. We have a lot of other stuff coming up this season that we will be announcing in our Season 9 info drop, guys. There will be changes to SR calculations. There will be changes to scheduling. There will be changes across the board, guys. So lots of stuff going to be moving around for Season 9. So you're going to not want to miss our information drop for that. We will be dropping all of that information for you guys in just a couple weeks. So stay tuned. Keep an eye on announcements and keep an eye, most importantly, on the Iris podcast. Last but not least is your giveaway for the week. And this week, the winner of the t-shirt giveaway is...
Drum roll. One thing.
Me.
Actually?
I won.
Oh. I couldn't tell if you were joking or not.
That's right. I won. No. I did win. But because I can't win, I didn't actually win. So no. So we drew a second time, and the winner on the second drawing, who actually will win today, is Pyro from the Cosmic Castaways. Congratulations, Pyro, taking home the shirt this week from the Tranquility store. Stay tuned, guys. 2 more Tranquility broadcasts in the near future. More opportunities to earn those channel points. More opportunities to enter more giveaways, guys, as we get through the championship bracket. We will have feature matches this week on Wednesday, so stay tuned for information about that. But otherwise, not a whole lot else happening other than championship bracket, guys. It is that time of season, so you're not going to want to miss anything. So be sure to catch Wednesday. Lots of exciting Overwatch going on. Special thanks to everybody tuning in tonight. Thank you to Nagi and Navino for their excellent work in this prolonged cast tonight. We do appreciate everybody sticking with us here throughout the night tonight, and we thank you very much for gazing into the iris. We'll see you again real soon.
Experience tranquility. Pass into the iris.